You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 30th day of October, 2025. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first one is our live training room. So to get in there, you got to be a member or taking your 1-week free trial. If you've not taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step how to take the trial. It's going to take about 3 minutes of your time. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially start tomorrow, and it'll run all the way through next Thursday. The weekends do not count against you. Now, when you take the trial, you're not just getting access to the live training room 2 hours a day. The other 22 hours of the day, you're getting access to everything that we offer our members. In fact, we treat you just like you were already a member for 5 consecutive trading days, no credit card required. Because at the end of the trial, we want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, top of the hour, and Michael shows up to give us a recap of the live training room. That will be one of the first things he does, is show you step by step. It's a couple mouse clicks. We'll take care of the heavy lifting. Okay. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, just click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there will be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, you'll see our daily schedule for this afternoon broadcast. So we're going to dive right into our daily devotional. And this is one of the longest devotional topics I think we've ever had. And it's important, eternally so. Learning to share your faith. Now, when's the last time you shared your faith? Yeah, I know. The guy sitting next to you on the pew at church. He knows you're a believer. But how about the guy that sits in the cubicle next to you at work? You might say, well, I have one of those little fish decals on my bumper. Okay. So I'll ask again, does the guy in the cubicle sitting next to you know that you're a believer? I'm a believer. Yeah, it's more than a rock song from the 60s or 70s. So, today's scripture, Matthew 11, verses 16 through 19, from the Message translation. How can I account for this generation? The people have been like spoiled children, whining to their parents. We wanted to skip rope and you were always too tired. We wanted to talk, but you were always too busy. John came fasting and they called him crazy. I came feasting and they called me a boozer, a friend of the misfits. Opinion polls don't count for much, do they? The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Wow. Imagine, that was written a couple thousand years ago. But it sure does apply to our world today, doesn't it? It's the eternal nature of God's Word. So today we're going to talk about bad company. And no, I don't mean the band, which was a pretty good rock band. The most common criticism of Jesus was also the truth. He was a friend of sinners. After all, they were the ones he came to save. Rather than withdrawing from those with immoral lifestyles, Jesus spent time with them. He loved them, dined with them, talked with them, and drew them to God. He was their friend. He knew they were spiritually needy, causing them to be more open. But Jesus loved them without compromise. He was rightly accused of being a friend of sinners, but never of being one himself. He associated with wrongdoers, but did not participate in their wrongdoing. Don't confuse bad behavior with spiritual disinterest. Now, in Phoenix, Arizona, right now, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. But I assure you, there's bars all over town where somebody is sitting there staring down into their beer or their shot of whiskey or whatever it is they drink before noon. And you would say, oh, well, that poor fellow's an alcoholic. Okay, fair enough. But he's looking for something that he's not going to find in that bar or in that glass. Every alcoholic, every junkie is seeking one thing, and they don't even know it: God. So again, don't confuse bad behavior with spiritual disinterest. You cannot discover where a person is spiritually by mere observation. You have to enter into a conversation and explore lives. So can anyone accuse you of keeping bad company? Hopefully. Something to think about. At times, being like Christ involves being a friend to those least like Christ. Now, let me encourage you to take a step. Consider the people around you. Whose lifestyle makes you uncomfortable? Take a step to get to know them. use questions to explore their spiritual background and experiences, and to determine their spiritual openness. See, this is not about beating people over the head with the Bible and telling them that they're sinners and they're all going to hell. No. Open up with a question. See, a good listener is highly valued. Now, you can wander into any bar and you can find people full of themselves and their drink of choice, and they're what we call loud talkers, right? Every one of them is there for a reason, and most of them don't know why. So rather than telling them something they don't want to hear, ask them something that you need to know so that you can help them find their path to where they want to be. Even if they don't know it, where they want to be is in relationship with Jesus Christ. That's how we're wired. We're going to worship somebody or something. For some people, it's a sports team. For some people, it's an automobile. For some people, it's the house on the hill. Just remember this. The way man's wired, you are going to worship somebody or something. So do a personal inventory. Who and what do you worship? Oh, this is Rich, just in. JP Morgan CEO. We were talking about this the other day. Admits he was wrong about Bitcoin when he stood out on the street and called it a fraud. We had that conversation the other day. Meanwhile, his people were inside buying the dip as he talked it down. Anyway, let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us not to be like those who refuse to listen in your day, but give us ears to hear and hearts to understand. Teach us to see your wisdom in all that you do and to respond with faith, humility, and obedience. May our lives bear witness to the truth of your word. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Thursday. Thursday, when I say Thursday, then I have to say tonight is the members only workshop, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please have your questions ready. And if you've been on the trial with us, you should have received an email which gives you instructions on how to become a member. If you take action, you will receive an invitation to attend the members only workshop tonight. That's how that works. All right, the numbers from around the world, starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow's up 249 points. The Nasdaq's down 178. S&P 500 is down 17. And the Russell 2000 is up 3 and change. Yes, the mixed markets. So, as I mentioned yesterday before the Fed meeting, quarter point cut was already baked into the cake, and so no matter what Jerome did, the market would throw a bit of a temper tantrum. And as we go through the charts, you'll see the evidence of that. And then when Jerome was done, we had some earnings come out yesterday afternoon that weren't, some of them weren't so pretty. You got to remember that this whole market rally we've been in for so long, it's riding on the shoulders of just a handful of stocks. You can call them the Magnificent Seven. There's really about 5 that's carrying the load. And that's a dangerous place to be. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up 2 cents. trading $60.50 last. Gold's up $10.10, trading $4,1080 last. Silver up 63 cents, trading $48.54 last. That's a gain of well over 1.25%, or well over $2,500 per contract traded. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 17 points, the Shanghai dropped 29, the Hang Seng fell 63. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 1, the DAX down 22, the CAC down 62. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And so far, it's a mixed Radio Thursday here in the US of A. We got two of the major indices in the red, the NASDAQ and the S&P. And we've got the Dow pretty comfortably in the green, 255 points. But the Russell, it's up only by 2 points now. So I think I know where this market's headed, but nobody really knows what's going to happen next. All right, to the world news, here we go. President Donald Trump instructed the Defense Department to resume nuclear weapons testing minutes before meeting with Chinese President Xi in South Korea. The meeting was ongoing as of this writing. Trump had projected optimism going into today's meetup, the leaders' first face-to-face encounter in 6 years. In advance, the U.S. previewed a framework trade agreement that could see China delay its rare earth export controls, expand U.S. soybean purchases, and crack down on fentanyl-related exports. In exchange, the U.S. could lower tariffs on Chinese imports, settle a deal on TikTok ownership, and reduce export controls on semiconductor chips. Barring a deal, Trump has pledged 100% tariffs on Chinese goods beginning this Saturday, November the 1st. The meeting comes after Trump met with the South Korean president yesterday. While they did not sign a new trade deal, South Korea did pledge to invest $200 billion in the U.S. in an apparent exchange for keeping tariffs at 15%. NVIDIA yesterday became the first company to surpass $5 trillion in market value, fueled by the artificial intelligence industry's surging demand for its processing chips. The milestone came 3 years after NVIDIA became the first $4 trillion company, and less than 2 years after it reached $3 trillion. And I mentioned yesterday, when they had their IPO back in 1999, a $1,000 investment would be worth $2.5 million today. Scientists have discovered 30 new deep-sea species, including a predatory creature they are calling a death ball sponge. The findings come from 2 expeditions, including one in the Southern Ocean, where researchers explored seafloor habitats around Montagu and Saunders Islands and the South Sandwich Trench. The sponge, named Chondrocladia, was discovered at nearly 12,000 feet deep, east of Montagu Island. With white ping-pong-like spheres and tiny hooks, the sponge actively captures and consumes its prey, whereas other sea sponges are typically passive filter feeders. Researchers also discovered glowing blue sea worms, as well as new species of sea stars and crustaceans. In all, researchers collected almost 2,000 specimens, of which they have analyzed under 30%. They expect to confirm more discoveries, potentially including new types of sea pens and black corals. Did you know that our scientists know more about the surface of the moon than they do about the surface of the ocean? Of course you do, because I told you that a couple weeks ago. But maybe you were out. Gold demand surged to an all-time high in the third quarter, fueled by a wave of exchange-traded fund investments, or ETFs, and all-time high bullion prices. A new World Gold Council report released on Thursday showed total demand for the yellow metal climbed 3% year over year to 1,313 metric tons. The demand was led by huge ETF buying and bar and coin purchases, according to the report. With the FOMO bar and coin trade in full swing, helped along by geopolitical concerns, we maintain our positive full-year estimate. It said gold's rapid price rise has not been a deterrent as it has been on occasion historically. The World Gold Council projects central banks are likely to continue their buying spree, with a full-year estimate of 750 to 900 metric tons, lower than last year, but in line with year-to-date flows. And gold currently trading up $12 at $4,012.70. Really wish John and Dr. Tom had lived to see this. President Trump announced today that the U.S. would have its fentanyl-related tariffs on Chinese goods as part of a reset in relations that includes China stepping back from its promise to restrict rare earth mineral exports for a year. Other parts of the limited agreement Trump outlined after a summit with Chinese President Xi in South Korea include increased purchases of U.S. soybeans, more actions from China on the issue of fentanyl, the suspension of some shipping fees, and easing of the U.S.'s 50% export control rules that apply to foreign nationals subject to U.S. sanctions, and a visit by Trump to China now penciled in for next April. He gets around. He's a busy guy. Chipotle yesterday cut its full-year sales outlook for the third straight quarter as the company continues to deal with a traffic decline and economic pressure on its core customer, particularly young people. CEO Scott Boatwright said in the company's earnings release that the chain continues to see persistent macroeconomic pressures. On a call with analysts, the executives expanded on this idea, noting that Chipotle is over-indexed to a younger consumer who he said are particularly under pressure. Particularly challenged cohort is the 25 to 35-year-old age group. This group is facing several headwinds, including unemployment, increased due loan repayment, and a slower real wage growth. Well, if you ask me, I would say it's because the food's not very good. But apparently a lot of people really like it. But the people who like it the most can't afford to go there for the reasons I just mentioned. Households that make $100,000 or less make up about 40% of its total sales. So the people that have the big bucks, they don't eat there. I just don't like the way it tastes. My wife, my son, they think it's the bee's knees. Wonder where that saying came from. All right. This news don't load. Here it comes from Bloomberg. Well, basically, I already told you. Trump ordered, Russia did their big nuclear weapon test, and we talked about that. This thing can supposedly, it has a nuclear engine. It can fly for days. So President Trump was basically forced to do this. Trump said the U.S. would match its rivals in testing nuclear weapons after Russia, in recent days, announced trials of a nuclear-powered underwater drone and a nuclear-capable cruise missile. Because of other countries' testing programs, I've instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. Smart move. Gotta let them know that we're not intimidated. Problem is somebody's mentally unbalanced. What are you going to do about that? I don't know. The government shutdown is less than a week from breaking the record as the longest in U.S. history, as new signs emerge on Capitol Hill that negotiations could finally be in the offing. But for Americans struggling with the shutdown's effects, these tentative steps are expected to take days to put. Yet, Senate Majority Leader John Thune offered a marked shift this week when he noted new energy for work on bipartisan government appropriations, and even suggested he would be meeting with Democrats pretty soon to talk about ending the shutdown completely. Nobody thought it would go this long, but here we are. Top technology companies hit fresh valuation milestones in October as the shares climbed on expectations of robust demand for AI chips. Nvidia's up over nearly 11% the past month, adding about $500 billion in market value as it becomes the first company to reach $5 trillion, as we said earlier. However, Nvidia is down almost 2% on the day. Microsoft is down almost 3% on the day. In a push to expand its AI footprint markets, Google has partnered with billionaire Mukesh Ambani. Reliance Industries is going to bundle its AI Pro subscription with Jio 5G plans at no extra cost. That's JIO. Now, the reason you haven't heard about them is because Reliance is India's largest company by market capitalization. And they're the ones offering the AI Pro subscription free for 18 months to eligible JIO users. I'm just going to assume that's some kind of phone provider. This article doesn't expand on that. India is the world's most populous nation and the second largest internet market with over 1 billion users. It's long been an irresistible target for global tech firms. While the country has not yet seen a major homegrown AI breakthrough, U.S. tech giants increasingly view it as the next big frontier. Place to gather diverse data, refine models, and test AI use. The Jio offer will initially reach users aged 18 to 25 before expanding to all Jio subscribers nationwide. It includes access to Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro model via the Gemini app, higher limits for generating AI images and videos with Nano Banana. Yeah, you heard me right. And VO 3.1. Plus, if that weren't enough to pull you in, 2 terabytes of cloud storage across Google Photos, Gmail, Drive, and WhatsApp backups. And last but not least, from Wall Street, Aurora recently released its Q3 business review, which included the addition of a new freight lane and updates on its driverless validation, hardware upgrades, and production status among its OEM partners. The company reported it had achieved over 100,000 driverless miles on public roads. The trucks ran between Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, with the company announcing the addition of a westward route to El Paso. The approximately 600-mile run from Fort Worth to El Paso was announced in a press release on Tuesday. Now, I see these Waymo cars. I've told you, every time I leave the compound, I see a couple, 2 or 3, depending on how long I'm out. But the thought, and that alone is a little frightening, I suppose, no driver at the wheel. But we're talking about a semi-truck, a big old 18-wheeler, loaded with freight, barreling down the freeway at 75 miles an hour, and no driver at the wheel. I try to be as open-minded as the next guy, but I don't know. If I passed a semi and there was no driver at the wheel, I'd pull off the road for a while. I'm serious, I would. Or maybe I pull up to a stoplight and I look over, and here's an 18-wheeler, and there's no driver. Yeah, I think I'll sit this green light out. I don't know. For years, Big Pharma has warned that President Donald Trump's most favored nation executive order would stifle innovation and that the policy is irresponsible and unworkable. Trump's most favored nation policy is simple. If Americans are paying more for the same medication than patients overseas, drug companies must lower their prices here to match the lowest price abroad. It's about fairness and putting America first, not last. On September 30th, Big Pharma's resistance to reform started to fracture. For the first time in years, one of the industry's largest players broke ranks from its peers, cut a deal, and announced its own version of how it's going to self-regulate lowering prescription drug costs for Americans. With one announcement comes many. Sure, this deal is progress, but it's only the beginning. As written, the agreement applies only to state Medicaid programs and direct-to-consumer sales, meaning millions of hardworking Americans will still see no change at the pharmacy counter. To provide meaningful relief, elected officials, regulators, and the administration must go further to truly drive down prices for every American. You know, it's sad that some people in America who worked hard all their life, did the right thing, went to church, showed up to vote, they have to make a decision each month. Do I pay my mortgage or do I get my medicine? Do I put gas in the car? Do I fill the script? Man, that's not good. And that's not what this $1.5 trillion hang-up in Congress is over. No. That's a completely different issue, and don't let anybody tell you different. That has to do with making sure that people in this country illegally have access to free health care, which people who are in this country legally don't have access to. You either pay for insurance, or if you're on Medicare, well, you got co-pays. You got to get gap insurance. Medicare doesn't pay for about 20% of the cost. And more Americans go bankrupt over medical bills than any other reason. True story. And again, it has nothing to do with that $1.5 trillion. that Congress is shut down over. Well, you probably know where I get most of my news, but I try to keep an open mind, and I look at different places and watch some different things. But the ratings are in. Fox News Channel easily maintained its #1 position among cable news rivals and is on pace to finish 2025 as the highest rated TV network, beating broadcast channels ABC, CBS, and NBC in viewers during weekday prime time. The latest Nielsen Big Data Plus panel numbers released Wednesday were yet another reminder of Fox News' dominance. Cable network averaged 3.28 million viewers in prime time. That viewership put Fox News ahead of ABC at 3.25, CBS at 3.09, NBC at 3.09, even though those channels are more widely available to a bigger audience than the cable-only networks. So, Fox is officially the big dog. The top shows, the 5, that comes in at #1. That's the 5 p.m. Eastern Popular Roundtable, which recorded the highest viewership across cable news during October, with an average of 3.7 million viewers per episode. Coming in at #2 is Jesse Waters, #3 Gutfeld, #4 Special Report with Brett Baer, and at #5 Hannity. He's been around a long time. He should be retiring at some point pretty soon, I would think. All right, one last spot of news. What is it? The White House has found funds to pay the military during the government shutdown, according to the Office of Management and Budget. The official said the government would take $2.5 billion from a military housing fund in President Donald Trump's big, beautiful legislation from earlier this year, $1.4 billion from the Pentagon's Research, Development, Test, and Evaluation Fund, and $1.4 billion from a procurement account typically used for building Navy vessels. The moves may technically run afoul of appropriation law, as Congress has the power to dictate funding, but it could be perilous politically to challenge the White House's moves as the shutdown continues into day 30. Troops, air traffic controllers, and hundreds of thousands of other workers have missed some or all of their paychecks as the congressional stalemate rolls on. The American Federation of Government Employees and the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, two of the biggest unions representing federal workers, have called on Congress to stop the nonsense and open the government. Also, one of the big teachers' unions has said the same thing. So, there you have it. Turning to the local news, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude gold and silver. We're currently in week 378. That's a little over 7 years. Over the last 378 weeks, we have issued over 20,800 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, this week, which began Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, as it does every week, we've issued this week 44 Logic 247 alerts, 1 never triggered, still waiting on the outcome of 17. That gives us 26 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 19% would have been stopped out, again, based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the week started out pretty rough. let's see. Yeah, the 20. Okay, when Valor did the recap Monday morning at 6:30 a.m., we had 20% stopped out. But then when she did it Tuesday morning, it jumped to 31%. And then yesterday, it dropped to 25%. And when she did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, it dropped to 19%. Now, the purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read a chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you got to know how to read a chart. Now, yes, you can trade them, but that's the bonus. The real purpose is to help you by simply drawing. If you never trade a logic alert, simply use them to learn to read the chart. And you can do that by simply drawing horizontal lines at each price in each alert. Pretty soon, you won't need the alerts because you can look at a chart same as I can, but you've got to understand what it's telling you, okay? Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. Now, 378 weeks is a very long time. But years before, there was a Logic 247. We had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, they're different in a number of different ways. For the purpose of this discussion, I'll simply say they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report shortly before the Globex opened each evening. The Thursday session that we're in today began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But all of our members and trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the markets opened last night. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So now we can go look at the charts. Here is the S&P 500 E-mini futures, the bellwether. Okay. Now, did we actually get a new all-time historic high last night? 69.53.75. We did. I don't know how close I can get to it, but I'll see if I can bump it up just a skosh. That's more than a skosh. That's pretty close. All right, close enough. Now, here's the deal. That new high, 53.75, that spiked the 100% fib extension. But look where we are now. So at this point, I'm not going to change the fib extensions. We're sitting on top of support at the black step line and blue and climbing. Look, we had a wick that came all the way down, touched blue and climbing. See, when the step line gets directly below price, it can become support. When it gets directly above price, it can become resistance. Same is true of blue and climbing. Okay, so here we are. We got potential support here where we've already visited. Then the next major support would be the high of Friday. Not the close, because the close Friday was down at the 62% fib extension. Now, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. Okay? When price crosses below the green line, like it did back March 4th, we're bearish. We expect lower prices. When price crosses back above the green line, like it did April 24th, and was confirmed on the 25th by opening and closing above the green line, now we've gone from bearish to bullish. Now, as I said, price always reverts to the mean. Pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held, until it didn't. And then the pullback held, and the pullback held, and the pullback held, and it held, and it held. let me just say, every pullback has held. Even this market oddity, we had a 6-day pullback. Okay. Now, how can I say that pullback held? Because every one of these candles is touching the green line. We need a candle to open and close below the green line in order to go back to a bearish stance overall. Okay, big picture. We came down and tagged support right where we would expect it, and we caught quite a bounce. So now we have 1, 2, 3 areas that are potential support. And then the 62, and you see that the BBC right now is at the 50% fib extension, which has seen a lot of action over the last, well, going back to October 2nd, a lot of action at that 50% fib extension. Now, all of the alerts, both the logic alerts and the concierge trade alerts, they're created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose many years ago. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've left it alone. The vertical lines that you see on the chart, that separates today, Thursday. Back over here is Wednesday. Back over here is Tuesday. Okay. And we've had a lot of sideways action heading into the Fed. And then yesterday at 2 o'clock, this was when the FOMC announcement came out. And then 2:30, this is when the press conference started. Okay. This was the open last night. We had a gap lower open at 6 p.m. Eastern. But these targets, I just showed you the list. Our traders had these targets 5 minutes before this candle printed. 5 minutes before the open. We ran up to the BBC and we traded through it. And then we had a pullback, a retracement, and the pullback held. From there, we ran right up to the long target. Now, this one candle right here, no, this one, it opened at 69.36 and ran up to 45. That's 9 points in that one candle right there. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. We then consolidated at the long target. And then at midnight, boom, took a big drop. Now we traded through, but look what happened on the pullback. The pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, pullback held, the pullback held, and the pullback held. You're probably getting the idea that the pullback holds more often than not. So then what happens? Now, this candle here, okay, it closed here, it opened here, and then it ran down to the short target, all the way down to the weekly trading zone, 68.75/76. These horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones that we publish every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern for our members. December 14th, which is right around the corner, will mark 16 years that we've published the weekly trading zones every Monday. Once they're published at 6:15 a.m. Eastern Monday morning, carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Now, where are we? Well, price is trapped. It's sitting on top of support, the black step line. When red and falling gets directly below price, it becomes potential support, as it did right there. What a great example. But you got resistance right overhead at the BBC. So which way is it going to go? You tell me. Because I don't know. I do not know what's going to happen next in the market. I know what the high probability move is. I knew that last night before the markets open. That's why you see what you see here. Okay. But remember, after over 7 years of logic alerts and over 20,800 individual alerts, on a weekly basis, we've averaged 20% or less being stopped out. This week, we're currently sitting at 19%, but we have an awful lot hanging out there that just haven't been triggered yet. And that's one thing to remember about the logic alerts. You don't have to trip over your feet to get to your computer to place a trade when a logic alert comes out, because I always make sure there's plenty of time, at least a half an hour, or in many cases several hours, and in some cases several days before the trade actually triggers. So you have plenty of time not only to trade it, but to study it so that you understand why the entry price was what it was, why the initial target was where it was, why the next target and the next target and the next target were where they are. And of course, the final trade to target. If it's a long, it's always the weekly zone above. If it's a short, it's always the weekly zone below. The Dow. Here's where we opened last night, and in short order, we hit the short target. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. Now, right here, this one little candle, if it were green, it might have thought your price was going to continue higher, but it closed red. See, now the zone is 47,855/860. Okay, so we definitely spiked it, and then we came right back down to the short target again. Short target. Hopefully you can see where it came from. It's not a mystery. Just takes practice. So support sends us to resistance. Resistance sends us back to support. Back to resistance, back to support. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of three things happens. 70% of the time is this, consolidation. 20% of the time is this, rejection. 10% of the time is the slice. That would be this. You see how the 30-minute candle sliced through the zone like it wasn't even there? Well, when that move runs out of steam, as it did at the long target, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. See if that's what happens today. So we hit the short target once, twice, 3 times, and we hit the long target twice. Each move more than enough to help you get your goal for the day. The Russell. This was the opening candle last night right here. Runs up to the BBC. And again, another kind of a head fake because we had a candle open and close above the BBC, which would make us think we're going to the moon. But if you've been around a while, you know that when there's a bearish cross, when the red line gets below the green line and leads to an extended move, see yesterday where the market found support off the Fed, right at the zone. That was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Okay. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits the area of the cross, it will almost always be good resistance. So you see where the red line got below the green line. Now look at the crosshair. The crosshair is running right through that bearish cross and right across the top of 1, 2, 3, 4 30-minute candles. Now, You should expect resistance the first time up. Usually the second or third time up, it'll break through, but the market was kind of weak, so we go to the zone and catch a bounce, and the pullback holds. And then we go back to the zone, consolidate a little bit, and then we take a drop all the way to the short target. And if you can see that wick right there, we hit the zone, 2475/76. The low of that candle was 2475.50. The zone is 75/76. The low, 75.50. Now again, these zones were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Now what's price doing right now? What it does 70% of the time, consolidating at a weekly trading zone. The NQ, gap lower open last night. It dropped to the highest weekly trading zone. We talked about this yesterday. We were above the highest weekly trading zone on the NQ. So we had a gap lower open last night, but look where we found support, right at the highest weekly zone. That sent us up to and through the long target, and we even took out the all-time historic high. Okay, and then look at that drop. Look at that drop. That happened at midnight. Something, I don't know what happened at midnight last night, but something sure did. Look at that candle. And where to find support? At the zone. That bounced us back up to the long target. Resistance. Now we got red and falling in the picture. And once we get back below the BBC, the pullback holds, the pullback holds. And then where do we find ourselves? At the short target. And then we get a retracement back to the highest weekly zone. And remember, yesterday I said by close of, even though we're above the zone today, I said this yesterday, by close of business on Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, we expect price to be at or below the highest weekly zone. Historically, that's what we've seen happen for the last 15 and almost 16 years now. December 14th will make 16 years. Now, notice on the way down, the black step line was on the right, on the left side of red and falling. Okay. Now, where's the black step line? It's on the right side of red and falling. What does that mean? It means price is going to attempt to retrace back to the BBC. Crude. Here's the open on crude last night. We dropped to this area right here, not an area I had called for potential support, but it bounced us up to the BBC, the pullback held, and we get another leg to the downside, and we just barely missed the target. What was the low here? We opened at 60.27 when we dropped 20 points, $200 per contract traded. I'll pick up with crude when I come back. Right now, Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Then I'll be back. I'll finish up the recap, and we'll wrap things up with our good word for the day.
All right.
Okay, let me get your chart centered up here on the big screen. Okay, looks good.
All right, good. Here we go. All right, we've got a lot to go over in this session. I think we had our highest number of trades of the year today.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and it was our second best day of the year, and we had our highest number of trades. I think we had 74 trades, 72 trades. 72.
That's more trades than most people take in a month.
Mm-hmm. It was wearing me out this morning.
I bet.
Half of those were on the NQ.
Yeah, the NQ.
Anyway.
If you run into a dead spot while you're doing your thing, look at the 30-minute chart of the NQ. It did some interesting things, but not right now. But just whenever you have time.
No.
Oh, there.
It was there.
Okay.
It's getting kind of jammed up right here. You see, it's in a triangle right here.
Yeah,
it's
but
make a big move one
up
way or
there
another.
it took out yesterday's high. It was above the highest weekly trading zone yesterday, but now today it's back well below it. The highest weekly zone is 26,164/165.
And what's the lowest?
The lowest for the NQ is 24,698.
Okay, so we're a long way away from
99. Yeah.
that.
Okay.
All right.
I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'll be talking for the full half hour. Let me have a drink before I get started. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 30th day of October, 2025. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. It will bring you to this page. This will be different tomorrow. It'll bring you to this page where all that we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Down at the bottom gives you TradeView login ID. Right, if you don't have one, click on that link and go get one. All right. Results. Yeah, just sneeze. All right, results. We almost had our best day of the year today. Almost. If you can read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we're up 362 ticks on the NQ, 22 ticks on the YM, 142 ticks on gold, and 17 ticks on the ES. That put us at $3,552 with one contract this morning. Today it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $2,500 with 10 contracts, or 250 with one. And we took a total of 72 trades today. 72 trades. That was a lot of trading this morning. It was wearing me out. And I didn't get anywhere near all the trades I triggered. So today we had 8 stop outs. Out of the 72 trades, we had 8 stop outs. So on 88.8% of our trades were break even or better today. Now, half of those trades were on the NQ, I think. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 34 of those trades were on the NQ. So yeah, just about half. That puts us on the month at $27,897 over 21 business days, averaging $1,328 per contract per 2-hour business day. So this is now our third best month of the year. This was our first, this was our second, and this is our third best month of the year. I don't think we're going to get over 32,000 tomorrow. No, I'd have to have a really, really big day tomorrow. But our best day of the year was April 1st. I think we were up $3,900 on April 1st. $39.90, $10 away. Oh no, our best day of the year was right here. It was April 11th. That was up $4,177 a contract. That was our best day of the year. So this is our third best day of the year. Still, it's a good day. Very good day. So let's get into it because there are a ton of trades to go over. I'll save the NQ for last. Okay, I'll just start out with gold and just go right across. Now, I'm not going to have time to go through every trade that happened during the break, so I'll just go over the trades that we took. And there we are. Okay, so that was a lot of bars on gold too. Our first trade on gold was right here. That was where we got the gold for the very first trade. We picked up 25 ticks on that trade right there. Bing, right out of the gate, 25 ticks. Then we picked up 10 ticks on that one. I made it a blue because it hadn't come out of the oversold. This is where I actually took the trade from over here, and it hadn't come out of the overbought right there, but it did eventually come out of the overbought. I moved the blue over, but it was actually a valid trade from right here. It wasn't from right here. We picked up 10 more ticks there. That got us to 35. And then we went to 59, had 2 break-even trades. Then from 59, we went to 70. Then from 70, we went to 95. 95, we went to 100. 100 to 111. 111 to 100. And we had a break even. Then 117. Then a break even. Then 128. And then right there, from 128 up to 142. And that is where we ended it. Now, I'm sure there were a bunch more trades on gold during the break, but I'm not going to go into them all. Okay. I'll just scan really quick and see where they are. There was one. There weren't that many actually during the break. Two during the break in a quick scan. So we ended with 142 ticks on the gold. That alone, with 10 contracts, is $1,420. Then we get into the YM. The YM is where we had the majority of our stop outs. But we did end positive, but it was still where we had the majority of the stop outs today. So let me scroll all the way back here. Here we are. Okay. On the YM, our first trade on the YM, we picked up 10 ticks. The next one, we picked up another 10 to get us to 20. And then we picked up 25 to get us to 45. And then the stop out started, I think. We picked up from 45, went to 55, so we got another 10 there. The reason I made that a blue one is because it didn't actually hit the midpoint. Right? I thought it did hit the midpoint, but it's when I blew it up. So we're at 55 there, and then the stop out started. We stopped out there, and then we stopped out there. And that brought us down to from 55, we went down to 40, then 40, we went down to 25. Then we had one tick there, then a break even, then another break even, then another stop out. I don't know how I ended up stopping out on that. I had a horrible fill is what happened. We went from 26 down to 11. And then right here, we picked up 11 more ticks to get us to 22. And that was it for the morning session. Now, I'll do a really quick scan of this. There were not many trades there during the break. If there were any, there weren't many. And that was the YM this morning. All right. And the ESA, this isn't going so bad after all. I got to get to the NQ though. Most of our trades are on the NQ. On the ES, we'll do this and go backwards. I didn't bring up the question box yet. Anybody has any questions? Nobody. See who's in here right now. Okay. Pretty much normal crew of people. All right, so this is the ES. We're going back to the beginning on the ES. All right, here we go. Our first trade on the ES was right here. We picked up 4 ticks. Now, that was right after we got the 25 on the gold. 25 on the gold, we were at like 929, and picked up this 4 ticks right here at 930. Then we got 12 more to get us to 16, then 8 more to get us to 24, then a break even. Then from 24, hang on, something's wrong. I didn't mark one of these, but we went from 4 to 16 to 24. Then I didn't mark something. I didn't mark that win, whatever that was. We had a break even and another break even, and I didn't mark that win or that win. I was doing so much with the NQ, it seems like I kind of forgot to mark some trades in here. Okay, there was a stop out in there. We had 4 to 16 to 24, and then somewhere we stopped out, but we had one more 1-tick win that I did mark. We had a few break evens, so it was more than 74 trades. Because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 trades, and I only showed 10, 11, right? So it was actually 76 trades. I don't know what the actual number was that we ended up with on this, but it was better than what I said. There was a stop out in here. I did take account for the stop out, but I didn't I didn't put in the stop out thing. Maybe it was one of these. Maybe one of these was supposed to be a red. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. We did better than what it shows. And during the break, there was very little during the break here. Very little during the break on all these markets. They're just wild the whole morning session, and then the break came in nothing. Now the ES. Not the ES. On the ES, I have that we ended with 17 ticks, but I think we ended with like 25 or something like that. But I do want to put the extra 2 trades in here. Oops. 74. Okay. Yeah, I had 10. It should have been 3 more trades. There should have been 3 more trades. Sorry, 375. I know there was more on the ES than 17, but I don't know what it was exactly. And I could go look, but I'm sure there was slippage and stuff like that, so it won't be the exact number. We'll just leave it alone. The NQ to control and back on that. You know when it takes this long to get back to the beginning of the day. There's a lot of trades in there. There's a stop out. There's a stop out. There's a stop out. All right, here we are. Now, our first trade on the NQ was 6 ticks. Then we went to 9. Then we went to 10, 11, 13, and then 41 right there. 10, 11, 13, and 41. This was a stop out. I think I probably should have had my stop at break even. That's why I got an orange thing on it. We went from 41 down to 16 right there. Then right here went from 16 up to 61. Then from 61 to 106. Then from 106 down to 81. Then from 81, right here we had these 3 nice trades right in a row. We had from 81 up to 126 and 126 up to 170. And then 170 up to 171. Then 171 to 172. 172 to 173. 173 to 174. Then 174 to 178. 178 to 194. And I think I missed one right here. But we went from 194 down to 169. Then from 169, we went to 213, 213 to 214. See all these ones that have 1 tick? It's because my stop kept going to break even plus a tick automatically. At this point, we're at 214. Yeah, 214, okay. And then, trying to keep track of how I did my numbers on this thing. 214, we went up to 259. Then from 259 to 278, 278 to 291, 291 to 303, 303 to 323, 323 to 324, 324 to 369. This is the end of it right here. So we went from 369 to 377, 377 to 378. Then I have this stop out in the wrong. Well, there's another long trade there that worked out for something. So there was a long trade that I didn't get. Looks like it was probably 1 tick. That went from 378 to break even, then 353. So we had the stop out, went down to 353, and 1 tick to 354, and then 8 ticks right here to 362. All right, so that was it. I did all that in 14 minutes. That was a whole bunch of trades on the NQ today. And, just a quick look at it during the break here. There was one there that was a good one. One there that was a good one. One there That ended up being a good one. One right here that was a good one. One there that was good. One there that was good. One there that would have been a break even. One there that was a nice one. One there that was a good one. One there that would have worked out some. The NQ was just great trading today. One there that would have worked out. And lastly, there's one right here that you could still take, I think. Whew. All right, I didn't think I was going to get through it all, but I did. Right, you can't still take it. It was right here, and it went 10 ticks in a profit. So if I'd have gotten into that, my stop would have gone break even plus a tick. So the automated thing that I have going on right now, where it automatically goes to break even or break even plus a tick, that is working out for me now. There was no way I would have been able to place that many trades if I didn't have things going to break even automatically. Because if it doesn't go automatically, I have to sit on it. I have to hover over the DOM, wait for it to hit break even. But if I know it's going to go automatically, then I can move on to another market and take another trade. So that whole thing works out pretty well. All right. So all that excitement. I really wanted to take a nap after the morning session. I didn't, but I really wanted to. All right, we don't have any trades triggering right here. I didn't think I was going to get to place a trade this whole time. I thought going over those trades was going to take too long. We need a down close followed by an up close on the NQ. This is not a trade here, not a trade here, not a trade here. All right, we did not get the down close followed by the up close. We might get it right now. Could still work. A down close followed by an up close could still work on the NQ. If you get another up close here, it's probably not going to be anything. But if you get a down close, then there it is. Now the up close could work on the NQ. Need the up close. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. And we'll see how it goes. It's going to go to break even plus a tick after it goes 10 ticks into profit. Okay. Assuming it does go 10 ticks into profit. It almost got there. It's going to go up to the prior swing high right here. It's going up to that level, 2050. That'll get the stop to break even plus a tick. There it goes, break even plus a tick. I'll lock in a point. I'll lock in 4 points. And we're out with 4. See how easy that was? It's about to set up another one right now. Get ready for it. And up close right here is going to work. And up close right here will be another trade anyway. I don't know if it's going to work, but it'll be another trade. And this is not a trade here. This is not a trade here. And we flipped the YBR over here on the gold. There it is on the NQ again. Here it is on the NQ again. There's my stop at break even again. I'm locking in a point again. 2 points. And we're out. So 16 and 8. It's 24. 1,200 bucks. Or 120. If you were doing just one contract. Oh no. the home health aide went to a funeral today, her brother's funeral. I'm hearing my father-in-law coughing, choking right now. It's too bad I'm going to have to run.
Did you say you need to run?
I'm just waiting to see if his choking gets too bad. If it does, I'll have to go and help.
Yeah, if it does, I'm right here, so don't.
Okay.
No worries.
I think he's working it out.
Okay.
Nope, he's not. He's gonna throw up. I gotta go. I'll be
Okay,
back
brother.
in just a couple.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Hopefully, it's only take a couple of minutes.
Okay. All right, we'll just wait for you.
All right.
Well, let's see if any new news came in since I went through all the news with you earlier. Covered a lot of stuff. Meta plummets as Wall Street bristles at AI spending spree. Oh, who do we have having after the bell today? Let me check it out. Got my list right here.
Okay. Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
He cleared it.
Did he? Okay. So we had a bunch of earnings announced before. After the close today, we got Amazon, we got Apple, we got Coinbase, we got Roku, to name a few. Okay, back to you.
Okay. He's still choking. He's got like one bite left to his lunch.
Well, if you got to run, man, don't worry. I got it.
No, he's okay so far.
Okay.
As long as there's still noise coming out. You know, I had to lift his arms up for him to get it clear. And
so you don't have to go to the gym anymore. You just pedal and lift him.
Yeah, that's it. Did you see how big he is? You see that?
No, I didn't.
That video?
No, I did. I must have missed that.
Here, I'll show you. Oh, here's my Telegram. Here it is. Here.
Well, he's not that big.
Oh, I mean, not belly-wise, but he's 6'1", he's 230 pounds.
Yeah, he is a big man. But I was expecting to see somebody,
No. Rotund. No,
yeah.
He's not big around the belly. Not yet. But he's 6'1", 230 and growing.
Good to see him pedaling that machine.
One
of our guys messaged me in Telegram and said, "Hey, where's that auction place you're talking about?"
Yeah.
I don't. It's for anybody. It's called Nellis, Nellis auctions.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you do the auction bidding process online, but then you got to physically go over and pick up your product. So if you're not in the greater Phoenix area, I don't know if they have
delivery
shops.
Services and stuff.
No, I don't know if they have shops in other cities and other states. They got two in the greater Phoenix area, one near us and then one way out in Mesa. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's done coughing right now. He only had one bite left. With him, it's usually the first bite or the last bite, it seems like. It's never right in the middle of his whole meal.
Just the fact that he still has appetite, I mean, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that has not gone away at all.
in the grand scheme of things, it's when, like the elderly lady my wife takes care of, who's 98, all she wants is coffee, saltine crackers, and cigarettes. That's her diet. I mean.
Yep, the cigarettes.
And she dips the saltines in the coffee, and
that's funny.
Yeah, and in her prime, she was like a part of the junior league, and she spent time, at the country club. She was part of all these women's groups. She was. I met her 40 years ago when my wife and I first got married. It's a friend of ours' mother, and my wife, because he refuses to take care of her, my wife stepped in and she takes care of him. So anyway, but not in her home.
That's,
She's in an assisted living facility.
oh, okay.
But my wife goes to see her every day and spend time with her.
That's nice. Yeah, Phil likes to dip his things too. We have these Velveeta things that he likes to get, and he dips them into Crown Royal. That's what he likes to dip them into. And then he dips it into his hooch.
Along with the auction site, another site that my wife goes to, it's like Free Levine, where people are just giving stuff away because they don't have anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was giving away like 100,000 of those Crown Royal bags. You know, the little velvet bags at Crown Royal?
Little velvet bags. Yeah.
My wife's like, she goes, what in the world would we do with them? I said, absolutely nothing. Do not bring 100,000 of those velvet bags home, because, no, please.
Have to move something around to find a place to stick it.
I mean, that's a lot of velvet bags. I wonder how somebody ended up with all those bags.
How do you end up with 100,000 of those?
I don't know. Anyway.
That is a lot. And you didn't buy 100,000 bottles of Crown. All right. Well, we're still waiting. We didn't get anything else. We got those 2 trades off on the NQ, and nothing else is triggered yet. He's all done. Coffin's done. So he's good now. It wears him out, though. But he gets doing all that. Nope, he's coughing again. Anyway, I'll go deal with that in 2 minutes. We only have 3 minutes left. So if you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for that. Click on that, and it will bring you to this page. Now, we're going to have a new one of these pages with new links and stuff tomorrow. But just click on this page, fill it out, give us your TradingView ID down at the bottom, and we'll get you all the stuff you need to get into the room in the morning and get your indicators indicating on your desktop. Okay, on your desktop. All right, so we want,
a down closing gold might give you something, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. A down close would be full cycle if it gives a down close there. That's the closest thing that we have right now to a trade is the gold. It's going to close up though, and it's not a trade. Now the next one's not a guarantee. A down close right now won't be a guarantee to get down there because of this up close. See that? It didn't go. It doesn't look like we're going to get anything. We have a minute and a half left. See, this is on the YM is going to have to go flat down here for a bit on the bottom. And that's not uncommon after you have a leg like this. This is the midpoint of the leg up. So it's not uncommon for it to go flat a little bit down here after it's gone flat up there a bit. The market's just slowed right down.
Something happened at midnight last night. I don't know what midnight Eastern. All the major indices just plummeted during the midnight 30-minute candle. I was pointing out to everybody on the when I went through the markets earlier.
I wonder what happened.
No clue.
Well, it's midnight here. That was actually over in China. That was like noon, probably something like that, right?
Maybe that's when Trump was meeting or ended his meeting or posted something about his meeting. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what it was because I think they're 12 hours, right around 12 hours different.
But we're going back to testing our nuclear weapons because Russia and everybody else is doing it. So we've got to make a show of force.
Ours are better.
Yeah.
Ours actually work.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get it, Dwayne. I guess let me do this. If you haven't taken a free trial, go here, mytradingiq.com, take the trial from here. Today, we ended up having our third best day of the year. But our most trades of the year in a single day, 75 is what we ended up with.
Wow.
$3,552 with one contract this month. and it was a busy morning, very busy morning. On the month now we're at $27,897. On the year, $229,815 is where we are in the year. All right, take the trial, get your stuff going on your desktop, and that's it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park.
Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $2,500 with 10 contracts on. There's a trade on the NQ right there. It just trade.
I was there, saw it happen. It was a beautiful thing.
Yes. All right. Partners meeting tonight. Don't forget. 8 p.m. everyone.
That's right, guys. Have your questions ready, please. And if you've been on the trial, you've probably received an email to become a member. If you take action now, you will get an invitation tonight to be in the members only workshop. So, okay, take care of the father-in-law, and I'll see you tonight.
All right, we'll see you. Take care, everybody.
All right. Okay, guys. Crude oil. Okay. Now we covered all the other markets and granular detail. ES, hit the long target, hit the short target a second time. And, well, first we hit the long target. Then we had the short target once, twice, 3 times. And found support at the weekly trading zone. The Dow, we had a gap lower open last night, took us just shy of the short target. And of course, support always sends you to resistance, weekly zone, and the BBC. Resistance will always send you to support, the short target, as you can see there. And then the pullback to the BBC held, and the pullback held. And then this morning, off the Wall Street Open, we flew high and we nailed the long target. But we did not take out yesterday's high. On the Russell, sure, we opened last night, up to the BBC, down to the zone, up to the BBC, down to the zone. And we finally get below the zone, pull back holds, and bang, we hit the short target. Now, again, these are the zones that were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Yesterday, when the Fed did their thing, look where the low for the Russell was. Weekly zone, 2475/76 to the tick. And remember I said we'll see a spike to the upside and then downside and blah, blah. Look where we found resistance at the zone. Published Monday morning. Okay, so we run up, we find support, find resistance, we find support. And then we do what the market does 70% of the time when it encounters a weekly zone, consolidated. Now we've traded below blue and climbing. So your next area for potential support is 24.88. Make it 89. And then, of course, the short target and the zone. And if you look right there, you can see the wick poked through the short target to tag the zone. The low was 24.75.5. The zone is 75/76. So nice. Now you're about to get about to get a lower move, but you got potential support right here at the low of this candle. And then right here, where red turned to blue. And then obviously the short target and then the zone. The NQ, we gapped lower on the open last night right into the highest weekly zone. And then we ran up, took out yesterday's high. I mentioned yesterday we were above the highest weekly zone, but by close of business on Friday, based on the last almost 16 years of weekly trading zone history, at close of business Friday, we expect to be back below the highest weekly zone. And here we are on a Thursday, back below. We hit the short target, bounced up to the zone, resistance. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. And when it drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. So I covered all those in granular fashion. If you ever miss part of the broadcast, you can always go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch the broadcast, any broadcast, in its entirety as soon as I log off. Crude oil opened, made a little drop, enough to get your goal for the day. You're below the BBC, and you got red and falling. So this candle opened at 60.28 and dropped 11 ticks. It takes 10 ticks to get your goal for the day. Then the pullback held, and the pullback held, and the pullback held. So we hit the short target, and we hit it again, and we hit it a bunch of times. And then we spiked. You go look left, you find out why. And then support sends us looking for resistance, which we found at the zone. And we consolidated for a couple hours at the zone. And then we reached up for the long target. We didn't quite get there. Looks like the high was 72, so we missed it by 8 ticks. Now, look at the black step line. On the way up, it was on the left side of blue and climbing. But look what's happening. The black step line is now angling to the right. Once it gets on the right side of blue and climbing, you should expect a retracement back to the VBC. We know the pullback holds more often than not, but there's no guarantee that any pullback is going to hold. You got to be patient and see, and then take the appropriate action. And this thing could still pop up and hit. I mean, we're putting a green candle. The step line is starting to move, and that's because of this consolidation. There's a reason these things happen. That's why I just encourage you so much every day to use the logic alerts, to learn to read the chart, so that when the day comes that there are no logic alerts for you to trade, you won't need them. Because why? Well, you can read the chart the same as I can. Now this spike low right here, we were just spiking yesterday's low. Like just a little bit. The low yesterday was 59.70. Today's low was 59.64. So we spiked yesterday's low by 6 ticks. And we're still trying to get there, but I'm telling you, once the step line gets on the right side of blue and climbing, start looking for the retracement. Gold has acted somewhat positively today. Yesterday, it sold off along with everything else. This was the opening candle last night. We're below the BBC. We expect lower prices. And from where we opened right here, this candle opened at 39.42.8. We'll just call it 39.42. And then it put in a low at 39.25. So that's $1,700 per contract traded if you just shorted the open. Now getting out at the exact swing low, that's pretty hard. That usually only happens by accident or luck, but we don't believe in luck. So anywho, support sends us to resistance, pullback held. So we come back down and basically put in a double bottom here. We get above the BBC, then the pullback holds, then we run right up and hit the long target to the tick. That was that little high from yesterday. We come back to the BBC, the pullback holds, and we run all the way back up to the target again. Remember, a $1 move in gold is worth $100 per contract traded. A $1 move in crude is worth $1,000 per contract traded. And a $1 move in silver is worth $5,000 per contract traded. Okay, silver, here was the open last night. We ran up to the zone and the BBC, so that's resistance times 2. That sent us down, but we didn't quite make it to the short target. But there was certainly plenty of room to get your goal for the day, because you only need 2 pennies in silver to reach the daily goal of $100 per contract traded. So this support right here sent us back up to the zone again. And then we just consolidated. And then about 4:30 this morning, we took a run. We hit the long target and we hit the weekly trading zone published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. That's resistance. Just as this was a resistance down here, now we get resistance here. And then on the pullback, that zone that was resistance becomes support. And then the high of the session for silver, 48.73.5. But look what's happening. The step line is crossing blue and climbing. And blue and climbing is directly above price. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance. Now, not to say that price can't punch through blue and climbing, but more often than not, it will become resistance like this, because it's on its way to becoming red and falling. Okay? Now, in this case, we traded back to the BBC, but then traded through it. But that was off all the Fed noise yesterday. We've got the step line. See how the step line on the way up, it's on the left side of blue and climbing. Now it's on the right side. So what should you expect? You should anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. And it just so happens that the BBC is aligned with a weekly trading zone. So that's what I call support times 2. If it were just the zone, we would expect it to be support until proven otherwise. If it was just the BBC, we would expect it to be support until proven otherwise. So we have 2 reasons for the market to find support there. But it's still trying to get in a higher high. And one last look at the daily chart. The step line is attempting to cross blue and climbing on the daily. And the same thing applies on the daily. Look for retracement back to the BBC. But we're sitting on top. See, we came down and touched support. See how blue and climbing got directly below price? So we had a red candle all the way down. It touched blue and climbing and then ran back up to the black step line. So how we finished the day remains to be seen. But we're still quite a ways from closing the Sunday night gap. That was one big gap. So to become a member, send Valerie an email, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you the information you need to become a member. Once you become a member, then she'll send you a lot of information. Just create a folder in your email client and put all the emails she sends you in that folder. Some of the stuff you won't even know what it is, but during your learning journey, you're going to need everything she sends you. So you want to know where it is. All right. Once you're a member, you're going to get 2 hours of live training every trading day in an interactive environment. On top of 2 hours of live training every day, private one-on-one mentoring. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. So if you're watching this going, man, I wish those guys did stocks. Well, guess what? Our methodology and our indicators work exactly the same on futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. as I've shown you today, from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. That's why it's so important that you learn how to read the chart so that you know where to anticipate resistance and anticipate support. The Logic 247 alerts, over 7 years now, we've issued over 20,800 individual alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. You'll be able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night. You'll get the set of golden keys that opens all the private channels in Telegram. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. How low? $5,000, $49.97 to be exact. Unless you're a veteran, and then we'll give you a discount to thank you for your service. Now, if you think back over all the time and treasure you've spent trying to learn how to trade, that is probably just a mere pittance. But you've never had the kind of support that you'll have with us. We provide around-the-clock support via Telegram. We're always reachable. We don't just hand you some indicators and a PDF and a hearty pat on the back and best wishes. No, we're in the trenches with you every single day. And you won't find that anywhere else. Just saying. Okay, let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Now, the Bible and your investments. Proverbs 15:6, the house of the righteous contains great treasure. In order to overcome your fear of investing, you must do these 3 things. Number 1, get savvy. Before you start investing, you need to learn the language and nuances of the stock market, real estate, mutual funds, whatever it is you're going to be doing, investing in. There's a wealth of information available on the internet. Yes, your savings account, term deposits, and managed investment funds are great ways to protect your money while earning a little bit of interest. But if you want to make a higher return, you have to take some risk. And the higher the risk, the higher the return. Number 2, get counsel. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Now, you need someone who is a licensed investment professional to guide and direct you. If you don't have someone, get someone. Okay? We are not licensed investment professionals. We're just regular people like you. A great place to start is calling Bert. 866-928-3310. He is licensed to guide you. Okay? A good financial consultant will help you plan based on your age, risk tolerance, and investment objectives. Talk to friends and relatives who have made investments. Learn from their experiences. And be sure to seek the guidance of the Holy Spirit. He is called Counselor because he can guide you in every area of your life. John 14:26. And number 3, get moving. Time is money. When I was 21, if I could have invested $100 in an S&P index fund, and through good times and bad, fed it $100 a week. You give God his 10% and put $100 in that fund. Trust me, you would If you're my age and you had started that when you were 21, I don't think the index is that old, but since it was formed. And right now, that's the best advice you can give any young person in your life, because the indices will always go higher over time. I don't care how bad the fallout. If you can get a young person who's 21 to commit to even $25 a week, whether the market's up or down, that $25 is going to get you more shares or less shares, depending upon if the market's up or down, but your dollar cost averaging, okay? And you don't have to buy an entire share. There's now fractional share ownership. So that $25 a week over time, that is the best thing financially you can do for the young person in your life. Now, some would say, well, the best thing is I could leave them $1 million. Okay. Have you ever met a trust fund baby? How's their life working out? If you don't work for it, you don't appreciate it. And by working for it, that means they commit to making that deposit every time they get paid, whatever they can afford. And as they get older and grow in their profession, they should be able to increase however much they put into that fund every payday. So again, time is money. You can go broke trying to save for big things like your kid's education or your retirement if you don't take advantage of the high returns offered by the indexes and other investments over an extended period. And be sure to stand on God's word and trust Him. Deuteronomy 8:18, one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. As long as your motive is to do God's will and bless others, you can pray for God to bless you with success, and He will. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.